Like 2022, we got the quartz metallic, 23 zircon sand, and now we have aero grey. This is supposed to be like the fun, cheap sports car. Why can't Mazda do fun colours?
You're watching Throttle House. I'm Thomas.
And I'm James. And this is the brand new, refreshed for 2024 MX-5 Miata.
The MX-5 Miata, a car that tall people hate, but everyone else loves. Believe it or not, this shape, the ND, is now a decade old. For North America, we got the 2-liter engine only, with a blistering 155 horsepower, and then in 2019 it got an upgrade, with more revs and more power, and some called it the ND2. And now, for the first time in 5 years, they've made some significant changes once again. Enough that some have even awarded this the name ND3.
So, even though the price hasn't changed that much, do those changes elevate it to the next level? Or should Mazda stop messing with a good thing? These sound like small questions, but as MX-5 owners past and present, and just as car enthusiasts, they weighed pretty heavily on our minds from the moment we heard about them.
If you're new to Throttle House, we do car reviews, track tests, and quite a lot of messing around. So subscribe and enjoy the show. So, what did they change about the engine again?
No, it's about what they didn't change. This is a 181 horsepower, naturally aspirated, 4-cylinder engine. And one that since 2019 revs to 7,500 RPM. I like it. That doesn't sound like a lot of horsepower, but this thing weighs like 2,400 pounds. And I challenge you to think of a new car on sale right now that is anywhere close to that curb weight, that doesn't come with an instruction manual to build. In fact, I like it almost as much as I like this manual shifter, which I still think is one of the best in any car, new or used. It goes directly into the transmission, which means that it vibrates a bit and you can feel it, but that's called engagement. The only thing I wish they had changed or offered is some sort of exhaust mod. Call it a Mazda Speed exhaust or something, because even though the engine is great and it revs up so nicely, and it sounds better than the 86 or the BRZ, the engine's still not quite as fun as the NDs.
No, it's not.
It's like, and some people even do a sound tube delete to make it sound even more pure. It just isn't loud enough. This is a convertible. You're battling the wind. But yeah, as far as engine department, they haven't really changed anything here, which is fine.
So the steering is different?
Steering's different.
Does it feel different?
It still leans like a Roman reaching for a grape, but that makes it feel joyful. And one of the only inhibitors of that in the past has been that the steering of an MX-5, it's not a weak point, nor is it its strong point. If you get in the previous gen, the NC, or if you get in something like a Civic Type R, there are cars that feel like they have tighter, more engaging steering. And Mazda knows this, and they've tried to battle it. I love this thing. So for 2024, they've made some changes. This has a new steering rack, which is supposed to reduce the friction. And it has some software tuning as well. The goal of those changes is a smoother, more defined on-center feel when you're on the highway and stuff. And then when you load up into the corners, it should feel more precise. But I can say that having lived with this for 2 weeks now, and driven it on highways and back roads, I don't really feel much of a difference.
And in fact, I went to visit our friend Nathan from local automotive outlet Double Clutch, who just purchased a stock 2023 Miata, and so I was able to back-to-back it, and after many switches with the cars over and over to feel the differences, yeah, it is so minimal. Like, maybe there's a bit more weight in the corners with the new rack and software, maybe, but the difference is not night and day. It's more like 5:23 p.m. and 5:28 p.m.
I agree with James. I don't think that the steering is really that noticeably different. Maybe it's a little bit more feedback in the corners, maybe it's a little bit sharper off center, but negligible. Negligible is the word that I would use to describe the steering. However, the big thing that you do notice when you get in one of these, or at least I noticed when I got out of my M2 and into this last week, was that it's very light. The car is so much different to any other car on the road. You can make adjustments to the attitude of this car in the corners that you can't do with other cars. Any little throttle, steering, or brake input will adjust the attitude of what's happening. To a point where I was actually overcorrecting or over-adjusting what the car was doing in a corner because I was used to my M2. You need to recalibrate. It's just so wonderful. The MX-5 has always been and remains to be one of the best handling cars that you can buy. But that doesn't mean the handling has always been perfect. And it needed that adjustment because the biggest issue, or the only issue really that I ever had with the MX-5 was that on a track, or maybe on an autocross course, if you enter a corner really quickly and you trail the brake in or you lift off a little bit, this thing would lose the rear to an absolutely ridiculous degree. You were constantly managing the rear end as you're trying to enter a corner. So what they've done with the differential is they've adjusted how much it locks up on deceleration. Basically what that means is that when the car is slowing down or you're braking or you're going into a corner, those two rear tires are locked together a lot more firmly than they were before. What that does is it has the effect of making the car want to go straight as opposed to turn. It doesn't want to turn as much. That doesn't mean they've made it turn worse. It just means that they've got rid of that rear end drift as you go into a corner. But don't worry though, it will still kick the rear out if you want. Really, really easily, especially on these skinny little tires. However, I will say that the differential tweak is not a thing you're going to notice on the road. The steering is not something that I really notice, and any other changes or software adjustments or traction control things like this new track mode thing here, none of those are really going to be that noticeable compared to the previous year. And actually, we were speaking to Dave Coleman, and he probably said it best. He said there are differences, there are changes, and you might notice them between Miatas. But the biggest difference is not between Miatas, it's between the Miata and other cars. The MX-5 is still one of the most unique and interesting cars that you can buy. I drove this thing on the way here, and I hate admitting this to James, but it's just pure therapy. It's pure motoring therapy, this car.
happiness in this small little rear-wheel drive package. So no, maybe the tweaks aren't that dramatic. But you know what? I'm not going to admit that to James. Wow, what a difference. It's just like school bus and Ferrari 296. That's how it feels to
I
me.
brought this out so that I could just be with it and know that I wasn't cheating on it. But I'm realizing now you were game for that, so you could.
This the changes.
Mock me.
The changes. It's unbelievable. Totally different car.
So if you haven't seen already, this is mine. It's a wrap. You can't get it in blue. If you're already thinking that, I'm sorry. However, this is the new color.
No, this is the new shade.
This is the new shade.
Yes.
Aero Grey. And we made fun of it. However, I will say, I think it looks great. I think with the black BBS wheels and the Brembo that comes with that package.
So when we walked up to this, I was like, oh my God, they did another primer. But then the more I look at it, the more I think that this suits this car with the black accents and everything more than any, especially like a blue or like a teal blue. This is superior in every single way.
I think it does suit the car well. I would have liked another color and not a primer. I like primer on a lot of the cars, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, it's annoyingly cool, but I hate that there's no, it's not a color. Like if this was a color that we had on our color wheel and it was called Chablat. And then I would be like, oh, I love Chablat cars.
This is a Chablat car.
Yeah.
And then this is Soul Red Crystal, as you know.
Yeah.
The reputation precedes it, and this is the RF24.
Don't get that one. Anyway, that's good.
Controversial, but yeah, we're soft top through and through.
That's not a cool thing. We're soft tops. We're soft.
We're pretty soft tops.
Oh yeah,
I see where it's bad. Okay.
Yeah.
So the problem with the Targa is it looks fantastic.
Yes.
And it is good if you live somewhere with inclement weather and you're worried about surviving a winter if you haven't got a garage. However, it does add weight.
Yeah.
It does add expense.
Yeah.
And you've been having a bit of fun with the wind, haven't you?
The wind noise is constant. It never goes away.
Yeah, there's a roar.
It's right by your ear,
Right
even with
here.
the windows up actually. And there's a horrible blind spot.
Yeah.
But when you talk about the weight, like, oh, it adds weight, everyone's like, oh yeah, okay, whatever adds. But in a car that's this light, adding a hardtop means that this actually feels quicker in a straight line. That's something I never noticed until today.
Is that wind resistance though, as well?
Maybe a combination of wind resistance and extra weight, but this drives better and handles better as a result.
Yeah. So the keen-eyed among you, and even I consider myself keen-eyed, and I still can't tell the differences. The lights have changed.
That's not that keen-eyed. It's really obvious. These are so much better than those.
So similar. And then underneath the headlights, instead of DRLs, it's just fake vents now. They've sort of moved those up into the new house. And then on the tail lights, the white is now inside the light.
It's very exciting stuff.
That's the exterior changes.
Okay, so we have concluded that the changes to the driving are not that substantial.
No.
Right?
Well, we haven't tried the track stuff. So it's
Right.
possible that differential on track does make a difference to the oversteer.
Well, yeah, exactly, yeah. The non-color is cool. It looks really good.
The non-color is
Absolutely.
cool.
The headlights are a little bit different. If you
Yeah.
have a keen eye.
Oh, and there's a little snaggletooth here for the radar sensor stuff. Because this now has adaptive cruise.
Yeah, it is kind of this.
Yeah. I don't mind. I like that it has adaptive cruise. I know some people get upset because of the purity and all that sort of stuff,
Yeah.
but I drove my MX-5 to Tail of the Dragon and back from Toronto.
Yeah.
I would have loved to have
You
adaptive
returned
cruise.
a broken man.
I returned a broken-backed man, for
Yeah.
sure.
Anyway, the bigger changes, I think, are on the inside.
100%. 100%.
Let's go take a look. I forgot how terrible the passenger vehicle this is.
It's not great. And then if
Yeah.
you put the seat all the way back, it rubs against the hoop.
Yeah. Oh, wow. If you owned a 23, you'd be so embarrassed at this
It's going to
point.
give you some more room here.
Thanks. I don't know.
Listen,
I'm impossible to own the previous year knowing that this one exists.
I'm unflappable. I love my car, and I love that they've improved it since. And
Right.
and I'm happy as a clam, and I want everyone to drive me artists. I don't
Yeah,
care.
but there's an option in this now where you can choose to have the touchscreen work in motion.
Yes.
So you can have Apple CarPlay on this big fancy new screen that you can touch with your finger and make it work
Yeah, it's
while
nice.
you're driving.
They've basically redone all of the electronics. Don't quote me, but I think they've taken the CX-90s electronics
Stuff.
and power
Yeah.
and put it in here. So there are a few things that have changed. So yeah, this screen, so much nicer,
So much nicer.
so much more updated.
Backup camera's better.
Backup camera.
It's no longer a
It doesn't.
potato.
It doesn't feel the screen.
No, this is a funny choice.
Yeah.
To see the corners.
The
but-
resolution is better, but it still
Yeah.
doesn't turn when you turn the wheel.
Yeah.
And it doesn't feel the screen.
Still pretty low rent.
But it's better.
Yeah.
For me, it doesn't make much of a difference because I'm just using it when my first Miata didn't have one at all.
Right.
So
You're just so old school.
I was so old school, even though it was a 2016. And then also, this is USB-C here now instead of USB-A.
Yeah.
And the gauge cluster has all new like digital stuff, like the indicator is it's not filled in.
Oh, I see.
It's like the new style stuff. And the only thing that matters, and this is for MX-5 ND owners that would care, is that the lane departure warning was really annoying. And when you disabled it with the button, there was always an orange light on the dash.
Oh, I see.
And that's not there anymore. So,
Well, that's crazy specific information.
well, it just always made you feel like you had like a check engine light in the corner of your eye.
Right.
And that's gone now. So,
Zoom out a bit and check out this amazing stitching on the side here. This right here would push me over the edge to move from a 23 to a 24 for sure.
unflappable, mate. I agree. I love it. I think they've done a great job. They said it's softer. Yeah.
I'm not sure softer is the word.
But it is now leathered.
It is stitched.
Stitched. Is it leather?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's leather.
Who knows?
Whatever. Fake leather. It's nice. It's better. It feels,
Yeah.
especially in the, I think the parchment interior you had on the RF.
Right.
That's where it shines more because
Yeah.
suddenly it doesn't look as plasticky. Other differences, we have a bezel-less rear view mirror,
Oh yeah.
which feels really upmarket.
Okay.
Oh, by the way, I've looked into retrofitting this stuff.
Yes, you can't.
I don't think you can.
Yeah.
I
So
think most
you
of it-
have to buy the 2024.
You have to buy.
Yeah.
I will buy an ND3 at some point
Right.
when
They do a blue color?
They do a blue, or when it's like
That's what it would take.
the final one.
Yes.
I'll happily support Mazda again
Yep.
and buy a new one. We still have no glove compartment. We got this space here, and we still have a wind blocker that I think still looks a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've rated that on mine, but yeah, it's the perfect car, really. Perfect car. This is the first time I've lived with the Recaros.
Yeah. None of the seats on any of the MX-5s are very good, to be honest.
They're okay.
They're all too narrow.
all
too narrow.
Well, I'm not a big guy.
Neither am I. And you know what? There's more space over here that you could put seat in. Fill it with seat, and I would be comfy.
All right, I'm going to admit something here.
Okay.
My wife has me saved in her phone as James Tiny Butt. And it hurts for me to admit that to the hundreds of people that are watching this.
It makes so much
But as a
sense
result, I do not find these seats uncomfortable at all. And I don't find the Recaros to be a huge upgrade. I like the Alcantara though, for grip.
Okay.
I
I didn't know that.
I think,
That's good news.
yeah, this is the club.
Yeah.
And in Canada it's the GSP.
Yeah.
And there are a few things that the GT gets that I like. And it used to be that they...
Is it a pet name or an observation? Like,
We've
little bit of both?
moved on.
Oh, we have?
We've moved
Oh,
on.
sorry. Okay.
Both of those. So the GT gets wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto,
Yeah.
and it gets a thicker roof liner,
Right.
which I find makes a difference
On the highway.
on the highway.
Yeah.
And it still gets Bilsteins, and it doesn't get the Brembos or the BBS wheels, or it can't be optioned with those.
Right.
But I think the GT is a better move for that reason.
Fair enough.
And there's some other things it gets I can't remember right now. But,
Yeah.
But like, it used to be in the States, if you got the GT, it denied you some of the performance stuff. Canada's always had it, but yeah.
So, well, the big question that I have, and this is what's been bothering me for a little while now, is that if you did a lot of squats, would you be James normal butt? Or would it just stay anyway the same?